Good evening, fellow classmates. Today I'm addressing the question, what is the role of school in society? This is a great question because it addresses how society sees us as educators and how they see the education that we pursue. So, the first sub question that I came up with was, what are the pros and cons of common or universal education? Now, a great thing to look at this is the Common Core. Most schools are now adopting the Common Core, which forces them to take national standards for their learning. I found someone gave me a great resource in the discussion, which had this to say for pros and cons of Common Core. Common Core is meant to streamline state curricula through a set of universal specifications so that kids all over the country will be learning the same things. Now, I had a great list of pros and cons. You can see it below. The idea is that for the pros is that it's going to teach kids more critical thinking. It's going to give the American education system more prestige, and that kids, who are moving from state to state, they won't have to worry because the schools that they were in Arkansas will be the same as Texas and Idaho and all that kind of stuff. The cons, however, is that there's too much federal control. There's not enough state control for the schools, which could, make a big difference. I mean, if you're looking at schools in Washington and New York versus Texas and Idaho and Florida, they're all very different climates, very different cultures. And the second one is that there's a blow to the arts, which personally I think is really sad because arts is what I love. The theater arts, especially, is what I want to teach. And so this kind of Common Core education can really put a wrench in that. The third idea is that there's wasted resources. Obviously, they'll have to print new textbooks and they'll have to do a lot of stuff and revamping of the works and the curricula. Anyway, so there's a couple things to think of in that. So the next one is, how are schools training students to think? Is this good or bad? How can it be improved? So someone's have found a cool quote from Alec Baldwin that says, "There's less critical thinking going on in this country on a Main Street level. Forget about the media than ever before. We've never needed people to think more critically than now, and they've taken a big nap." I think I must agree with Mr. Baldwin. I believe that there is an extreme lack of critical thinking going on across the United States, and maybe it's not just the day and age. Maybe it's not just the rush of social media. Maybe it's always been this way and we just haven't noticed. But I think that it's very important for students to learn critical thinking. And I feel like I talk about this every presentation, so I'm sorry if you're sick of hearing me talk about critical thinking. But I think that it's a very, very important skill for students to learn. And we as educators certainly have that opportunity to teach it to students. The third question I had was, what does society expect of me as a teacher, and what do I expect of myself? I I looked at a lot at the second part of this question because it's a lot of internal reflection, and I think that I really expect myself to be someone who can make a difference in students' lives. I don't just want to teach. I don't just want kids to pass my class with an A. I want kids to pass my class with an A, and I want them to pass my class with an understanding of the world around them, with higher moral and social and self-esteem. I want them to look at the world around them with new eyes and to learn to love learning again and to find subjects that they learn. Here are two questions, or not questions, but two things that you guys can take and look at them and think about the answers to these ideas. But they're: describe how teachers' attitude is related to their effectiveness, and explain the knowledge level an excellent teacher must demonstrate. That's a pretty interesting one. I always am worried that I won't have enough knowledge as an educator, but that's why I'm in college, to learn as much as I can before I go off to teach. Anyways, I hope you guys have learned something, and I hope you guys are having a great week. I look forward to hearing more of your thoughts and discussions as we go on through the next coming weeks. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.